So I want to thank everyone for coming. I'll give you a couple minutes to sit, grab some food. We don't have enough seats. We'll probably pull some in. Sorry if the room is so crowded. It makes it more intimate. Let's see, what else should I say? Logistically, if you need to use the head, go through the double doors here, one door and then through the other door in the stairwell, and go be on your left. You can also go all the way around. There's bathrooms up and down the same corridor, off the stairwell, everywhere in the building. If you need a quiet place, we've got some conference rooms around that we can put you into as you need. And let's see, as far as an introduction is, you know, there are two types of people who use instrumentation.
Hey, Steve.
Yes, ma'am. What?
Yeah.
There's no microphone.
Great, you're gonna have to project.
Okay, there's two types of people who use instrumentation. There are users and there are abusers. You guys are all abusers.
I like to think of us as fixers.
Well, you know, that's part of the deal, you know. We try to find the edge of our instruments, and we try to find that edge, and when we, without going over, and when we do go over, we try to find a way to get back. And it's, you know, never the same mistake, none quam idem error. You guys are all very familiar with becoming one with your instrument. I know, you know, as everybody's kind of tied to their cell phone, you get an intimate relationship with that slogan. And I know I, over the years, developed an intimate relationship with all my sounding rockets. I kind of know from the sound that here comes out of the lab, you know, what's going on in there. And I know that all you guys have experienced the same thing. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into some of the ways that we do this stuff. And we're going to start off with Gary and Barbara presentation. And I will try to describe what they're going to talk about. I better not leave when you do. I need to share a screen. And when we share a screen, we want to use the desktop. So we'll do that. And then we'll just bring up the presentation that way. And hopefully everything else will be hit away.
If you want me to flag it.
Sure. Yeah, let's stay on time. Yeah, and where's the microphone? Where's it picking up our
You
voice?
speak over here. If you hang out here, then everybody online will be able to hear. I'm not sure there are too many people online.
Very good. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 5. Who ate that cookie last night?
Not me.
Yeah, I couldn't eat it. It was too beautiful.
Let's see if it lasts 20 years, 12 years.
So someone's going to bring it to the launch. So
Has it become a lucky cookie?
A lucky cookie?
Sealed and then attached?
sealed and attached, yeah, it'd be more valuable if it's sealed. So definitely, you know, put it in the freezer or something like that. So, hi, everybody. I'm Gary Blackwood,
Barbara Grofic.
and we are your program managers from JPL and Goddard for exoplanet exploration and physics of the cosmos, cosmic origins. We are thematic programs within NASA astrophysics. We both work for Mark. We're also at the centers. We are programs from the centers for NASA, or NASA programs. And we serve the science and technology.
No.
So planets, you just said?
Yeah, well, it's more mission stuff for me. That's one of the things that they do. I mean, she's probably just too busy.
This is not small mission stuff.
We're going to yell at you if you start talking online, okay? So don't do that.
But that's good feedback, no mission stuff.
No mission
We're not
stuff.
talking about mission stuff here.
No mission stuff. So today's a tech day. Technology, it's like the how. You guys have been talking about the why and the what for 4 days. Very powerful, very inspirational. And today, a lot of you will begin, many of you are on the agenda to speak about how should we implement the Habitable Worlds Observatory. And we were delighted to hear from Lee Feinberg and Pin Chen that while there are challenges and they're really hard, there's reason for hope, and there's some data that says, hey, we're on a path. So we're on a hopeful path. It's a very hopeful week. Barb, our program offices are busy during pre-phase A and pre-A. We're kind of where some of the aspiration meets some of the formulation and implementation. What's the view from Cosmic Origins and Physics of the Cosmos for Habitable Worlds?
Well, Habitable Worlds is a title that conjures up literally other planets and that we could go live on. So it conjures up space exploration in other worlds. But we do want to keep in mind that this Habitable Worlds Observatory will be for general astronomy as well, and should find some breakthrough discoveries across the board. And so working together, we can make an observatory that both covers the exoplanets and the cosmic origins aspects.
Absolutely.
Of this. And I think we've seen this week, we've been celebrating the amazing discoveries from James Webb. And we want to make sure that this next great observatory is as amazing. So the next leap beyond, actually, there's Roman in there too, but beyond Roman, all the way to amazing new things. And we're going to need new technologies.
Indeed. So Barb and I, we have been working together jointly in our joint program office. We nicknamed our collaboration the C3PO, the collaboration of the three program offices. Thank you, Taifan, for that one. We are busy supporting Julie and Sean and Mark and Sandra in the development of the Go map and helping get things started. Headquarters sets the policy and we help with the implementation. And we are a place where the NASA headquarters and the community and the industry and the scientists meet to get the work done. We are, Mark spoke of the budget challenges and Julie, where there's a lot of uncertainty, and Julie laid out where we need to be at the end of the decade. Now, what are all the steps between now and then? Well, that's what we got to figure out. We don't have those laid out. So whether you're working on a home project, a thesis, or some other project, it's very hard to lay out all the steps. But if you know what you need to know two things: what your long-term vision is and your very next steps. As long as you know those two things, you can make iterative process. So we want to talk to you about some very next steps. So I'll just go over here. So about a year ago, when we hadn't started the start, we didn't even have the acronym yet. We knew that there were things that needed to get done so that when the community came together in events like this and organizations like Julie has kicked off from the start, these are things we knew needed to get going. So we created different road mapping teams to open the conversation, not prescribe, but these are conversations that are going to go on for a long time, but to open the conversations on long lead areas that we know need to get done. And you heard from some of these researchers already today. Barb, you want to start off with the first two?
Well, we have the Ultra Stable Observatory Roadmap Team, which is being led by Lee and Laura. I know Lee's here. Is Laura here?
No.
Okay, too bad. Is Gemini? So hello. And we have the UV Working Group, which this says the contact is Sarah Tuttle, but Peter's here for that too. Peter Kuzinski. Right? So
Hi, Sarah.
hi, you're Sarah Tuttle. Nice to meet you. Okay, Sarah's here too. Back to you, Gary.
And so on the exoplanet side, we know we need high performance coronagraphs. And so you start by saying, well, what's out there and what could be out there and what's on, what do we know about and what's coming? And Russ Belikoff and Chris Stark in the room are doing that survey and bringing that list of architectures that are known or possible to a chronograph technology roadmap team. And Pin Chen, who's there's Penn, and Laurent Coyot are leading a roadmap team to lay out the steps you would take to move from the chronographs, as Penn showed you on Tuesday, onward to a path towards what we need to enter phase A.
I wouldn't have found this room without Pin, so he's good for road mapping.
every chronograph is going to need a deformable mirror, and these are hard. And so this involves learning what's out there in industry and what needs to be matured for the format that we need for the Habitable Worlds Observatory. And we're not going to make this work without detectors for the general astrophysics and for the chronograph. On the exoplanet side, we thought a little bit about some other areas. A science metrics team. We know the scientists, you will talk for years about what metrics we should use to judge the exoplanet science metrics of the Habitable Worlds Observatory. Is it 25 exoplanets? You're serving, what's an exoplanet? What's characterization? What's life? So this is a conversation that needed to get opened early, and Carl started that. And then the integrated modeling team, joint between Physics at Goddard and JPL Physics Core and XEP, to begin to look at the integrated modeling, which is tied to error budget, which makes all of this come together. And we give a shout out to Starlight Suppression workshop in August. We'll begin to get into some of the details of what some of you will be talking about today and the plots that Jen and Shem showed. So these are roadmap groups that start, and we are now delighted to be learning about the beginning of a start. We're on the cusp of beginning that, and the tags and this work will be handed off to them and integrated into that.
So then we just have a little bit about gap lists. We have gap lists. We've been having technology gap lists for quite some time. And the idea being that if we know what we need, we can figure out how to get those things. So, so there's the links to the technology gap lists that we have, and we update those every couple of years. And then as well, Exoplanets has been working on science gap lists for a long time. We probably should have put the link up there for the others, because I think they exist
Let's get them up there,
now.
okay.
So we'll work on that. There are, it's harder for general astrophysics because it's just an extremely broad area to try to figure out where the gaps are. But we've been trying to make some progress there. So so it's good if you're designing technologies, that we'd love to have you aware of these, so you know what we need most, right? So that we can be working on the goals that we need.
So I'll just add to that. Why have a gap list? What's with this? Well, Barbara and I are engineers, and we like to discretize things. And so when the problem looks really big, we break it down, and we find something that is a piece that we can bite off and chew. And the program offices don't define the gap lists. We really more curate them. We iterate with the community. Those of you who are involved in the PAGs know that we always ask you, are these the right gaps? So it's a conversation. And NASA hates a gap. It hates something that's not green. They hate a yellow or a red where there's a gap. They must close it. Particularly if the scientists say that gap is essential in technology to get the science that we need. So we've been able to use that pretty effectively. So we thought, well, let's try this with science too, but it breaks down there because while the difference between the science and technology gap list is that the engineers don't mind if you prioritize the technology gap lists. The scientists, they don't like it when the science gaps are prioritized. We alphabetize them, or we call things like precursor science or something like that. We don't say one is more important. We don't prioritize on importance. We let the decadal and the community do that. So anyway, we've been able to do this, and this becomes a currency of interacting with the community. Sometimes it's interacting with students. Students will come to us and say, hey, I want to work on a project. I said, well, find something on one of these gap lists and come talk to us. It opens a conversation. Yes, sir.
So how low level or how high level do you go to when you define those lists? I mean, you start at, oh, we want to understand the universe type of thing, and then you break it down.
Well, that's the decadal. So that's the decadal. The decadal will say we want to understand the universe.
Right, and for
And
the
then-
technology, is that the equivalent?
So the technology gap list, for example, will say, okay, since the decadal said we want to understand the universe and we want to have things like the Habitable Worlds Observatory, we then ask, okay, well, what technologies are needed to either enable or enhance the Habitable Worlds Observatory? So it narrows down quite a bit.
Okay.
Now, once we get there, we get very specific. If you read these gap lists, they get very technically deep at the level people can design, test.
Yeah, I think did that answer your question? Good. This is
A few
another
dozen,
page
a
of
few
data
dozen.
for us.
Another question over there. Oh,
Oh,
just a really quick question about gap lists. We advanced to doing them only every 2 years recently. And there's a lot of effort, certainly being conducted by a lot of people in this room and elsewhere towards the goals of habitable worlds. When the spigot finally gets turned on for technology investment as part of GOMAP, I believe the SAT and APRA mechanisms are going to be the way that gets disseminated. We know that the gap lists inform the way those proposals get selected. Is there a need or a desire to try to populate and update those gap lists on a more frequent basis than what was happening 2 years ago?
I think that's a reasonable suggestion.
Okay.
and I think there's been some discussion too. Is there anything we want to change in the process? Or do we want to look at the process again and see if we're doing it as well as we can? So.
So that could be a topic in a future forum like this.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been thinking about that. I think while it's been a good process to get things out there, there probably is some room for revisiting and some improvement.
Okay.
Actually, one small comment.
Can you be loud so that?
Okay, I'm not sure.
Small but loud, yes.
Small but loud, but if you caught Laura's part of our presentation earlier this week, this over 50-person roadmap team looking at ultra stable observatory, we're not only breaking it down by WDS and metrics and capabilities, but we're trying to identify the gaps holistically across the whole ultra stable observatory. It doesn't address coronagraphs and DMs and all that. But for the ultra stable observatory, we will have a very detailed list of all the gaps. And if you're not part of that roadmap committee and you want to have involvement, let us know. That's why we're asking. But we want this to be comprehensive so that people know what is that list, that very detailed one.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Lisa. So it's already begun.
Echo the same for the phonograph technology roadmap group.
All right.
Well, it sounds like we have our first two presenters for the next gap list meeting.
Yeah, okay.
So we're only got a couple minutes left here. Every year we go through a budget cycle with NASA, and we're in the middle of one now, so we can't say much about it. But Barb and I work together looking at Habitable Worlds Observatory on behalf of all of you. And these were investment priority categories that we came up with, that we discussed with headquarters in this last budget round. So we'll see what budget is available, but these are the areas that should ring a bell with many of you that we were able to break down and for discussions with headquarters. So I think that may be our last.
There's another question.
I just want to put in a punch or endorsement for integrated modeling there. I'm not an engineer, I'm a scientist, but I do try to understand all the aspects of this mission as part of my job. And as I've cycled among the engineering groups, the people who are operating JWST right now, who work across the street in the Space Telescope, and our own lab, chronograph. That theme of integrated modeling has started to just go push up the priority list, because there has to be a mathematical thing that exists that ties all of these disparate elements together. And I'm getting the sense that it's not just an engineering discipline. I mean, you could probably give a talented engineer instructions and say, go build a model in this observatory. But it means drawing together the many threads that are happening in many different places right now. So it might not be a bad idea to focus some of the high level effort, like this kind of working group, and attention on that problem.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, there's more like 3 or 4 different levels of modeling, right? There's that kind that the engineer does that's usually further down in a development. There's the part that includes all the science and how that works. There's a budget piece that's like the programmatics for how we're gonna structure this for the next 20 years or whatever it's gonna take. So yes, you're right, and we are looking at that.
Steve.
One other comment about technology gaps. I spent an awful lot of time last year going through the core given technology gap list. And one of the things, of course, that we hit up there that is not on your list is UV coatings. And I'd like to see that prioritized.
Is what?
UV coatings.
Oh,
One vote for UV coatings being added to the list. 50 votes, yes.
Not on the other.
Okay. Point taken. Point taken. I think it was in our budget submission, it just didn't, we should.
I rolled up things. I didn't make it too specific.
Yeah, you
for-
missed that one. So
for-
yeah, that one's in there.
for
We
budget
care about
reasons.
that one. We care about that one.
So I think that, do we have any other slides, Barb?
PAGs. Y'all know about the PAGs? So, you know, there's a PAG for each of the, program offices, and it's an all volunteer group, run by some pretty amazing scientists who are very, very interested in doing their part for this. So if you haven't joined one of these, for all of these, you can join as many as you want, right?
You just,
Join
you
them.
show up at the meeting, you are in the PAG.
Yeah.
So Barb and I, from our program office, support these PAGs and these interest groups. And we, while the PAGs don't advise the program offices directly, they make inputs to the APAC and then advise Mark through FACA means. Barb and I go to the PAG meetings and we listen. And our teams listen, and we're listening to the technical conversations amongst the community that informs our gap list, that informs our priorities, that informs our investments.
And they've got some great new SIGs and SAGs, interest groups. So if you think this sounds too broad, see if you can get involved with one of the other groups.
So I think that's our last slide. Barb, do you want to end with any final words?
We're thrilled to be here today. We hope it's a great day of thinking about technology and the future. So, Steve, thank you for letting us open this.
Actually, Vanessa is going to run this one. So
Yeah.
thanks very much.
See perhaps a hand raised on the Zoom, a little icon came up.
Oh, we couldn't see that.
I apologize that I can't see the raised hand order. So we may just have to be a little informal about this and somebody just unmute themselves and shout out the question.
Hi, good morning. This is Rachel Rivera. I just wanted to follow up on the comment about the UV coatings on the tech gaps list. It certainly is on the tech gaps list. It's a tier 1. In addition, we have 2 SAT programs focusing on UV coatings for broadband. We have Manuel Quijada and John Hennessy. So we do have 2 programs currently with the SAT program investing in UV coatings. So I just wanted to follow up so it doesn't look like it's missing. Thanks.
Rachel.
We've got, give you your full 20 minutes. You got 30 seconds left if there's any other quick questions online or in the room. All right, no, thank Gary and Mark again.